morning, UPAD. How can I help?
I think zero deposit is a very interesting business. The tenant wins because they don't have to find that second deposit when they're looking to move. The agent wins because they're letting a property faster and keeping their clients happy. And the landlord wins because they get 6 weeks protection as opposed to 5 weeks in the traditional space. I think the proposition, how they put it all together, the backers behind it, I fully endorse and think it's best in class. Having zero deposit as a business that we work within the space is just another tool in the landlord's toolkit for marketing their property. And I think we're probably all aware that it's not one thing that will let a property, it's generally a few things in terms of how well you present it, in terms of really good photography, having internal shots. When you're advertising a property with a zero deposit option available, it makes it far more marketable. And what is a really interesting statistic is the second biggest cost for landlords are void periods. And the more you as a landlord can do to market your property that is more favourable to tenants, the shorter any void period will be.
Okay, perfect. Would you like to know more about zero deposits?
As new landlords, and indeed existing ones that are coming back to re-let a no property with us, we make them all aware that we've partnered with Zero Deposit and what they offer. And I think one of the key things that we focus on with them is also the amount of deposit, the 6 weeks that you're covered compared to the 5 weeks on the traditional scheme that's out there at the moment. Whether somebody has £2,000 in a savings account or not really doesn't have a bearing on whether they can afford the property. The key aspect anybody should look at is to make sure that their take-home pay, that the rent that they are paying is no more than a third of someone's take-home pay. The second it's more than that, it sort of almost goes into danger zone from an affordability perspective. I think the biggest issue zero deposit sorts within the marketplace is getting tenants to move. In London, the average deposit is about £2,000, it's about £1,000 outside of London, and tenants don't get that back before they've got to pay their next one out, and that's a big cash flow burden nowadays. So I think if there's a way of overcoming that, which zero deposit cuts through, that's a major tick box as far as I'm concerned. Where I've heard zero deposit work really well from a tenant perspective is when there's sharers. Trying to get 3 individuals to all agree on whether they want to take the property, what room they're going to take, is the rent being split equally, then trying to raise the deposit between them all and so on. And I think zero deposit having a role in this market has just made that process that bit easier, and it just allows those 3 sharers, for example, to move forward a bit quicker rather than sort of bickering amongst themselves. So there's been a few stories like that that we've heard within the space. So whether an agent's sitting on the fence about working with zero deposit, a small part of me says that they shouldn't, so that I remain my competitive edge in the space. But ultimately, I think all agents should be trying to look to what's the best that they can do for their customers, their landlords. And as void periods are the second biggest cost for us as landlords, I think anything that an agent can do to help that is worth looking at. And for me, zero deposit is a best-in-class proposition. I'm a big fan of the business and the people behind it.